start at 200 miles per hour. I mean, that is literally the only way to approach the reality of the paddock today.
Oh, absolutely. You have to jump right in.
Right. You have to put yourself right there on the asphalt, just feeling the vibration of these cars. The 2026 Formula One season is officially underway.
Finally.
Yeah, the massive new engine and aerodynamic regulations have finally hit the track. The initial pecking order is set, but I need to pull you behind the curtain today because the real race right now is not happening on the track.
Not even close. The real race is happening in the motorhomes.
Exactly. We've got our hands on the internal paddock notes for this deep dive, and I need to show you the explosive chess match currently happening behind closed doors.
It's a war zone in those boardrooms right now.
It really is. The driver market has turned into an absolute pressure cooker, and the power struggles between Ferrari, Red Bull, and Toyota Haas, they are reaching a boiling point that is, frankly, going to rewrite the balance of power for the rest of this decade.
It is a high-stakes game being played at terminal velocity. I mean,
Yeah.
you are watching teams and drivers desperately trying to lock down their survival.
Survival is the perfect word for it.
Right, and the catalyst for all of this panic is the 2026 rulebook itself. Whenever a sport rewrites the underlying physics of how a car generates power and downforce, it creates this terrifying now or never scenario.
It's a total reset.
Exactly. And to understand the sheer scale of the panic sweeping through the paddock, you have to look directly at Maranello. That is where the baseline for the future of the sport is being drawn.
And where one specific driver is aggressively demanding the crown.
Oh, without a doubt.
So let's get right into the Charles Leclerc situation because this is where the tectonic plates are shifting. If you look at the internal data, Ferrari has actually delivered a highly convincing new car.
The SF26 is no joke.
It's really not. It is a very solid baseline. Now, okay, they aren't completely destroying Mercedes week in and week out just yet, but the foundation is incredibly strong.
Yeah, the core architecture is working.
Right. And more importantly, we know there are massive engine spec upgrades coming from Maranello in just a few weeks. So, on paper, you would assume Leclerc would be thrilled with this.
You'd think he'd be throwing a party.
Right. He finally has a machine he can fight with. But instead of celebrating, he is drawing a massive line in the sand.
Because look, a good car is no longer enough for him. I mean, the reality of 2026 makes this a completely different beast.
How so?
Well, the foundation a team builds this year under these new regulations is everything. Specifically, that complex balance between the internal combustion engine and the electrical deployment.
Right, the new hybrid split.
Exactly. That split is going to condition the entire generation of cars all the way down to 2030. If you get the core concept wrong today, especially under the strict cost cap, you cannot simply spend your way out of the problem.
You're just trapped.
You are totally trapped. You will go backward for years. But if you have a strong baseline, like Ferrari seems to have actually executed this time, you have a launch pad for a dynasty.
And Leclerc sees that.
Oh, Leclerc recognizes the launch pad is there. But he wants total control of the countdown sequence.
And I think all of this stems from his deep, just lingering trauma regarding the 2022 season. I mean, you remember 2022.
Like it was yesterday. It was painful to watch.
Leclerc came out of the gate with an absolute rocket ship. He had a 46-point lead in the World Championship early in the season.
Everyone thought it was his year.
And then we watched it all completely unravel. Catastrophic pit wall blunders in Monaco and Silverstone.
The strategy calls were just baffling.
Baffling. And the engines, I mean, literally blowing up in a cloud of smoke while leading in Baku in Spain. That collapsed. I really think it broke something fundamental in his trust of the system.
I completely agree.
Because of that, he doesn't just want a fast car anymore. He is aggressively demanding what the paddock calls the Max Verstappen treatment.
Which is a heavy demand.
Huge. He wants absolute, undisputed structural power at Ferrari.
We really need to define what structural power actually means in this sport, because it is, frankly, far more valuable than a salary bump.
Yeah, break that down for us. What does that actually look like?
Well, structural power means that when the factory in Maranello has, say, only managed to produce one upgraded front wing for a race weekend, there is zero debate.
It goes to Charles.
It goes on Leclerc's car, period. It means the suspension geometry and the foundational aero balance of the car are engineered specifically to favor his unique, aggressive oversteer preferences.
Even if it completely ruins the car for his teammate.
Exactly. Even if it makes the car undrivable for anyone else. It also means having a functional veto over key personnel decisions. He wants terms and conditions that are fundamentally political.
He wants to be the undisputed center of gravity.
He wants the entire team orbiting him.
It is a massive flex. It's like a brilliant junior partner at a massive corporate law firm marching into the senior partner's boardroom and stating they will only sign a long-term contract if the entire firm's resources report exclusively to them.
That's a great way to put it.
It forces Maranello into an incredibly difficult corner. But here's my read on this. I see this as a pure survival tactic from a guy who has just been burned way too many times by operational incompetence.
See, I will take that a step further and call it a highly dangerous gamble for the team itself.
Really? You think he's overplaying his hand?
I think Ferrari cannot afford to fall into the trap of letting a driver, I don't care how talented he is, dictate the architectural structure of a legacy organization.
But Red Bull does it.
Red Bull is a different beast. History is littered with teams that collapsed because they let a driver condition the whole structure. When the driver eventually loses form or leaves, the team is left with this highly specialized, completely unbalanced operation that takes years to rebuild.
That is a fair point.
The ultimate negotiating tool for Maranello isn't handing Leclerc a political contract that crowns him king.
What is it then?
The ultimate leverage is building a flawless machine. If Ferrari's upcoming engine upgrades turn the SF26 into an untouchable rocket ship, Leclerc will not leave.
Because you don't leave a winning car.
Exactly. Regardless of his internal political status, you do not walk away from a guaranteed world championship.
But, and this is a big but, if Ferrari hesitates or if they refuse to bend the knee to his demands, Leclerc is making it very clear he is not without options.
Oh, he is actively shopping around.
He is actively looking around the paddock, and there are apex predators out there more than willing to give him the keys to the kingdom. We know Aston Martin's Lawrence Stroll already made a heavy push for Leclerc in recent months.
Yeah, they threw a lot of money at that idea.
They have a state-of-the-art new wind tunnel and just endless financial resources.
Aston Martin has potential, sure, but potential doesn't win world championships in the short term.
True.
I mean, let's be real. They are essentially a massive, expensive construction site right now. Leclerc sniffed out the operational instability at Silverstone very quickly and just shut the conversation down.
He doesn't want another rebuild project.
Exactly. He needs a finished mansion, not a blueprint. And that brings the real earth-shaking threat into focus.
Red Bull.
Red Bull.
They are circling him so aggressively, and the mechanics of why they are circling are just fascinating to me. Red Bull is currently staring down the barrel of Max Verstappen, potentially executing a unilateral exit clause.
Which is a massive, massive deal.
To leave the team, or possibly even retiring at the end of the season.
We really have to look at how these exit clauses actually function. They aren't just simple opt-outs where a driver just says, hey, I'm done.
Right, there are specific triggers.
They're typically tied to highly specific performance metrics. So, for example, if the car is not in the top 3 of the constructor's standings by the summer break, the driver can legally walk away.
Wow.
Or they're tied to key personnel. If a specific technical director or management figure leaves the team, the driver's contract is instantly voided.
So Max holds this massive sword of Damocles over Red Bull management right now.
He has them completely cornered.
If Verstappen actually triggers that clause and walks, Red Bull is facing a colossal void. We aren't just talking about losing lap time here.
No, you're losing your identity.
Exactly. Max has been the Red Bull brand for a decade. If he leaves, they cannot simply promote a young academy rookie, like an Arvid Lindblad, into the most high-pressure seat in motorsport.
The sheer weight of expectations would crush a rookie instantly.
They need a proven, mediatic blockbuster replacement.
Which is exactly why Laurent Mekies is crucial here.
Oh, the Mekies connection.
Yeah, he has deep ties to his past at Ferrari and maintains a very, very strong relationship with Leclerc. Through that connection, Red Bull has made Leclerc their primary contingency plan.
That is wild to think about.
And what makes this so dangerous for Ferrari is that Red Bull's entire corporate DNA is built around exactly what Leclerc is demanding.
Right, the one-man team structure.
Red Bull operates by identifying a single generational star and building a ruthless, hyper-efficient machine entirely around them. They did it with Sebastian Vettel. They did it with Max Verstappen.
They know how to cater to an ego.
They would not hesitate for a single second to hand Leclerc the absolute #1 status.
Okay, I have to challenge this, though. Look at the psychology of the driver. You have the romantic, emotional Charles Leclerc, A guy who grew up dreaming of Ferrari, whose entire identity is tied to the passion and the chaos of Italy.
Yeah, he's the golden boy of Maranello.
Right. The idea of him leaving that environment for the cold, calculating, ruthless energy drink machine of Red Bull, it feels completely alien to me.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a fiery, tempestuous artist suddenly deciding to go work as an actuary for a corporate hedge fund. It just doesn't compute for me.
See, I look at it completely differently.
Okay, tell me why.
It isn't alien at all when you consider the sheer exhaustion of driving for Ferrari.
Huh?
Yes, he is an artist, but he's an artist who is tired of watching his canvas catch on fire due to someone else's mistake.
Ouch. Fair point.
The Red Bull hedge fund, as you call it, offers him ruthless, uncompromising efficiency. He is brilliantly using Red Bull's current desperation to squeeze Maranello.
So you think it's leverage?
He knows Red Bull is terrified of losing Max, and he is weaponizing that fear to force Ferrari's hand. But, and this is key, anyone in Italy, assuming this is just an empty bluff, is playing a dangerous game.
You think it'd actually leave?
If Ferrari repeats the operational mistakes of 2022, or if the SF26 evolution stalls out, Leclerc will jump ship. The loyalty has a breaking point.
But Ferrari's front office isn't just sitting there defenseless hoping Leclerc stays loyal. Maranello has a spectacular nuclear option of their own.
Oh, they certainly do.
And it is currently destroying the entire midfield narrative.
We have to talk about Ollie Bearman.
What a story that is.
This rookie is unleashing absolute chaos over at Toyota Haas. He is driving with a terrifying level of quality, and the season has barely started.
He is a phenomenon.
He is comprehensively dismantling his veteran teammate, Esteban Ocon. Bearman's arrival is completely reshaping the power dynamics of the driver market. I mean, Haas has been entirely revitalized by his raw pace.
They look like a new team.
But while he is scoring points for Haas, his real value right now is serving as an unbelievable piece of living leverage for Ferrari.
Exactly. You look at a rookie like Bearman and you realize his greatest value to a top team isn't just his speed, it is his political utility.
Precisely.
Bearman is openly dropping the ball squarely in Ferrari's court. He is looking right at the international cameras and stating, hey, if you don't feel ready to fight for first, you shouldn't be on the track.
The confidence is staggering.
He is explicitly declaring his dream is to wear the red suit and win a championship for Ferrari immediately. He is even brushing off the idea of being intimidated by Lewis Hamilton being in the other garage.
He does not care who is in the other seat.
It is like a hungry, brilliant junior executive who just closed a massive global account for a subsidiary, marching straight into the parent company's boardroom and demanding a partnership track right now.
And you want to see that kind of ruthless ambition in a young driver. Over Toyota Haas, team principal Ayao Komatsu has completely accepted this reality.
Yeah, Komatsu knows what's up.
He's pragmatic. He knows Bearman is just a borrowed asset from Maranello. He understands that Haas is currently operating as an incubator.
A very fast incubator.
Right. If they do their job right and polish this kid, Ferrari is going to recall him.
Which puts Haas in a brutal spot long term. If you've been watching Ocon this season, his sporting decline is glaringly obvious.
It's hard to watch, honestly.
He is struggling to match the rookie's pace every single weekend. Haas is going to have to execute a complete teardown and rebuild of their driver lineup very soon.
Actually develop the Toyota Haas project properly.
Right, rather than just acting as a temporary waiting room for top-tier rookies.
The structural rebuild at Haas will be a massive story on its own. But bringing the focus back to the top of the grid, Bearman's sheer dominance is the ultimate safety net for Ferrari.
It's their trump card.
Exactly. If Leclerc pushes too hard in negotiations or demands a level of power that Ferrari's management finds unacceptable, they can simply point to the timing screens at Haas
And say, look at the kid.
and say, we have the next generation ready to go.
I am marveling at Bearman's audacity. I really am. But can you really keep a kid this explosive locked in the midfield?
I think you have to.
Really? If you have a generational talent kicking the door off its hinges, don't you have to promote him before he gets frustrated and starts taking calls from Mercedes or McLaren?
This is where we need to apply a very harsh reality check regarding the mechanics of Formula One. You do not rush the diamond.
Okay, explain that.
There is a monumental difference between the physics and psychology of what Bearman is doing right now and what he thinks he is ready for. Driving a midfield car at Haas, where the expectations are relatively low against an underperforming teammate, is a completely different universe from the absolute pressure cooker of Maranello.
It is a totally different atmosphere.
In a Haas, a lockup into turn one is, a footnote on page 10 of a race report.
Barely makes the broadcast.
Exactly. In a Ferrari, a lock-up into turn one is a national crisis debated on the front page of the Italian papers the next morning.
The Gazzetta goes wild.
The internal pressure at Ferrari is a boiling cauldron. Every single degree of your steering angle, every throttle application is analyzed by millions on telemetry.
It's suffocating.
If Ferrari throws Bearman in too early, pitting him directly against a 7-time world champion like Hamilton, or against an established prince like Leclerc, the environment will devour him alive.
So you think it would ruin him?
At the first sign of weakness, the Italian media and the relentless expectations will form a tidal wave that has permanently destroyed the confidence of far more experienced drivers than Ollie Bearman.
So your read is you keep him stationed at Haas.
Absolutely. Keep him under Komatsu's wing to toughen his skin. Let him learn how to carry a team, how to handle the inevitable bad weekends.
Because they will happen.
They always do. Let him learn how to develop a car setup over a full 24-race calendar without the entire world dissecting his every move.
And there is one massive 7-time world champion-sized reason why Bearman is going to have to wait.
Oh, yes. The biggest factor of all.
And why Leclerc might ultimately be forced to share the spotlight in Maranello, whether he likes the political structure or not. Lewis Hamilton is completely changing the geometry of the 2027 driver market.
Hamilton's performance in these new regulations alters everything.
If you look at the first 3 races of this 2026 season, Hamilton has recovered his magic.
It's like turning back the clock.
He is showing flashes of his absolute prime, the internal fire, that raw ambition that maybe the ground effect cars of the previous generation had masked. It's completely reignited.
He looks lethal out there.
He is driving the SF26 at an exceptionally high, ruthless level.
And here is the mechanical reality of this contract that gives him all the leverage. Hamilton controls his own destiny for 2027.
People forget that.
The option to extend is entirely in his hands, not the team's.
Which means if this Ferrari continues to evolve, if Maranello actually delivers these upcoming engine upgrades, and the car becomes a true undisputed title contender, Hamilton is not going anywhere.
Why would he?
He will stay to hunt down that historic 8th world championship in red. And crucially, if Ferrari is providing a car capable of fighting at the absolute front, Leclerc isn't going to leave for Red Bull either.
He'd be crazy too.
He will swallow his pride regarding the absolute #1 status because you don't walk away from a winning machine.
The logic of the grid is always dictated by lap time. If the car performs, the drivers stay.
So put yourself in the shoes of the Ferrari team principal right now. You are staring at a potential nightmare of garage management.
It's a headache waiting to happen.
You have a 7-time champion in Hamilton who is hungry for his 8th title and driving like he's 25 again.
Yeah.
You have a predestined prince in Leclerc demanding total structural control and threatening to walk to Red Bull.
Yep.
And you have a rookie prodigy in Bearman banging on the door, threatening to take his talents elsewhere if he isn't promoted. How do you possibly manage that level of corporate and sporting tension without the entire team imploding?
You manage it by relying on the most fundamental rule in elite motorsport. If it isn't broken, you do not touch the foundation. You absolutely do not retire or force out a highly motivated Lewis Hamilton.
You just can't do it.
The sheer engineering value of having a 7-time world champion driving at his peak, providing developmental feedback on a totally new generation of cars, is mathematically irreplaceable.
It is the only logical play. Keep the proven commodities.
The ultimate winning strategy for Ferrari is to keep this explosive Hamilton-Leclerc duo intact for 2027. You leave Bearman at Haas to continue weathering the storms of a full F1 season, and you let the asphalt dictate the future.
Let the results speak.
Exactly. As long as Hamilton and Leclerc are performing, there is zero reason to disrupt the ecosystem. You only pull the ripcord and make a drastic move when the structure starts to wobble. Right now, despite all the political posturing, their on-track baseline is rock solid.
So let's pull all of these threads together for you. You now have the ultimate paddock insider's view of the invisible war raging beneath the surface of the 2026 season.
It's a fascinating landscape.
We are looking at a revived legend in Lewis Hamilton, restaking his claim at the absolute pinnacle of the sport. We have a hungry prince in Charles Leclerc, utilizing the very real threat of a desperate Red Bull empire to demand total structural control of Ferrari's future.
And waiting in the wings.
Waiting in the wings, we have a fearless rookie in Ollie Bearman, acting as the ultimate leverage, ready to overthrow them both. The second either of them shows a hint of weakness.
It is a truly extraordinary dynamic that exposes the brutal reality of the sport. I mean, this isn't just about who can hit the apex of a corner the fastest.
Not at all.
It is a masterclass in high-stakes corporate leverage. It requires managing fragile mega-egos, reading the shifting landscape of complex engineering regulations, and timing your strategic bets perfectly.
Every single quote to the media, every delayed contract negotiation, every quiet overture from a rival team's
It
management,
all matters.
it is all part of a massive multi-million-dollar game of poker. And the stakes couldn't be higher for the people involved because the decisions being finalized in the next few months will permanently lock in the power dynamics of the grid for the rest of the decade.
The driver market has never been this volatile, and the long-term consequences of a wrong move have never been more severe.
Which leaves you with one final intense scenario to mull over until the next race. Imagine you are sitting in the Ferrari team principal's chair right now.
Heavy lies the crown.
You are holding all these volatile cards. If push comes to shove, the internal pressure boils over, and you are forced to make a definitive zero-sum choice between keeping the most successful, proven driver lineup of this current decade or securing the raw generational talent of the next decade before a rival team swoops in and steals him. Who do you sacrifice?